Sharp crack echoed across the field, slicing through the morning silence like a gunshot. Nearly 400 uniformed soldiers stood frozen in formation as a piercing scream followed. Admiral Hawthorne crumpled to the ground, his arm twisted unnaturally, the bone jutting beneath his dress coat. But the real shock wasn't the injury. It was the woman standing over him, calm, focused, breathing evenly. Her eyes burned with the fire of 15 years of silent endurance finally unleashed. Commander Elena Ward had had enough. The whispered remarks during mission briefings, the lingering hands during commendations, and the whispered threats disguised as favors, she'd borne them all. Just 20 minutes earlier, he'd summoned her to his office, reeking of alcohol under the pretense of pre-ceremony congratulations. But what followed had nothing to do with her promotion and everything to do with control. Today was meant to honor her 15 years of service, 3 deployments, countless sacrifices. She was to become captain. But Admiral Hawthorne had his own plan. He made it clear this promotion came with expectations. "You know what this really means, Commander," he said, his breath hot with whiskey. "It means you're ready to play the game." Elena kept her tone firm, her spine straight. "My record speaks for itself, sir." He only laughed. "You think the Navy runs on merit alone?" Then he reached for her, his fingers brushing her jaw. "There are ways to show appreciation, Ward." Her muscles tensed. This wasn't just harassment, it was a threat. And in that moment, everything she'd trained for converged. Years of combat, leadership, hand-to-hand drills, all sharpened into instinct. When he grabbed her shoulder, squeezing hard enough to bruise, something in her snapped. Not with rage, but with clarity. "Step back, sir," she warned, voice like steel. "Now." He didn't. In one precise motion, she intercepted his next move, locked his wrist, and twisted. A pivot of her hips and a shift of pressure, and then came the sickening pop. The sound carried across the parade grounds. Soldiers flinched but didn't move. Hawthorne collapsed, a scream ripping from his throat. Still gripping his arm, Elena whispered, loud enough to be heard, "Touch another officer without consent again, and this will feel kind." His ego bruised, Hawthorne swung a fist with his uninjured hand, clumsy, slow. She blocked it easily and dropped him harder this time. No hesitation, just skill, discipline, and purpose. And as his body hit the ground again, a message had already begun to spread through the ranks. This was no ordinary promotion ceremony. As Admiral Hawthorne writhed on the pavement, 380 soldiers remained rigid in formation. None turned their heads, but all had seen the impossible. The highest-ranking officer in the region reduced to a groaning mess by a woman half his size. The podium stood silent. Captain Reyes, who had been leading the ceremony, looked like a statue, his mouth slightly ajar. Elena released her grip but remained alert, her posture controlled. Hawthorne, still on the ground, managed a venomous whisper. "You've just destroyed your future. I'll see to it you're court-martialed, stripped of that uniform." She stepped back and met his stare. "Then by all means, let's have that trial. I'd love to describe exactly what happened behind that closed door." His face paled instantly. In the era of accountability, whispers no longer stayed buried. Elena's spotless record spoke volumes. Hawthorne's past, unconfirmed but widely suspected, would not withstand scrutiny. From the ranks, Master Chief Nolan stepped forward, a man who had survived 6 command changes and seen too much to pretend. "Commander," he said with quiet weight, "your formation is ready for the ceremony." It wasn't a question, it was permission and a declaration. Without another word, the ceremony resumed. 20 minutes later, Elena stood tall before her peers, now Captain Ward. Her voice was clear as she took her oath. While Hawthorne was escorted off the grounds on a stretcher, his reign quietly ended. No charges were filed against him, no headlines followed, but 3 weeks later he was reassigned to a desk in D.C., his influence quietly erased. Elena never told the story publicly, she didn't have to. Her actions had spoken louder than any press release. She went on to command 3 vessels, training and mentoring the next generation of officers, not just in tactics, but in strength of character. To those who watched that morning, it wasn't just a promotion. It was a reckoning. And to every sailor who'd ever felt powerless, her message rang clear. Sometimes you don't need rank to lead, you just need the courage to say, enough.